Rusame reader, Kurosong, and today I will be reading to you from Everlasting War by Cake. Now, on to Chapter 19, News. India held the letter tightly in her hand, containing every bit of excitement she held within her by a thread. Raj, supper's in 5 minutes, Australia announced, entering the office she sat in. America's in love. He's what? Australia stepped into the room and was followed by Canada. Canada shut the door while Australia took a seat. Canada sitting in the chair next to him. I thought you were commanding the troops, India said, staring at Canada. Mother is in charge. This war should be over in a few days. We have great cavalry, and our troops on foot are pretty fast. Prussia just learned never to fuck with Brits again, Canada replied, allowing his composure to let out. Now, explain this America is in love thing you've got going on. India nodded, setting the letter off to the side. She apologized in advance if she got far too excited and loud, something she did often, but also because she had to go fast. Okay, America sent Mother, May, and I letters. Only May and I got an extra topic. However, he wrote about an experience he had with another man. Oh my god, is he pulling a nada and sleeping with some guard in Muscovy? Don't give me that. We can go on about Serbia. Better, was India's reply, directing the two men back to her. Russia, the Tsar Russia of Muscovy, Vipuri, and Chagati. Yes, the Tsar. The room was now quiet, both men having to process the information. Australia looked totally lost for words, while Canada appeared to be trying to find the words, failing pretty horribly. Wait, Canada then suddenly announced, standing up. What about the kingdoms? Do they just rule them both? Once father passes and they're married? Not where I wish you went, Australia groaned. How about, does this mean I can sleep with Serbia forever? Or, now I can have my future husband work with me? So we aren't so dark? Canada immediately slapped Australia's arm and sat back down, sulking in the chair. India laughed a bit, leaning back in her own chair. America has said he kissed him and slept with him, so they are in deep. Hell, let me read you this part, India said, reaching for the letter. Here. India handed the letter to her two brothers, who read the letter together. India watched as their eyes widened around the same time, only widening more the further they read. When Australia handed the letter back to India, Canada stood up and repeated the part of the letter for confirmation, which he received. Oh shit, maybe I can be with Serbia. Out of that entire statement, that's what you got out? The three turned to face New Zealand, who just stood there, arms crossed. Canada merely chuckled a bit, embarrassed to the extreme. Australia was just confused on how New Zealand got in the room, switching his gaze from the door to her and back to the door repeatedly. India, on the other hand, was scared. She wasn't really supposed to tell, but now another sister knows. Oh, supper, right. I'll just tell the family there, India said, standing up. She fixed her sardine quickly and walked around the desk and towards the door. The two men followed her as she followed New Zealand to the dining hall. Mother, Hong Kong, and South Africa are all here, and Father has grown quite fond of your lover, Australia. What? The group stopped and turned around, Canada staring at Australia in pure shock. Canada had only been back a day and most likely hadn't bumped into the new face, although it was known that he was awfully shy and stuck around Australia or Britain, whichever one he felt like he wouldn't inconvenience. It also meant nobody wrote to Canada, so they must have all presumed the others would do it. I don't think America or Malaysia knows about him at this point, New Zealand said, rubbing the back of her neck. I don't think so either, because he's all the way down the hall there. I'll be back, Australia said, jogging down the hall. South Africa left the battle to rescue him and ended up catching him in bed with the guy, India explained to Canada. Canada just watched and slowly turned his back to his sisters, a look of confusion completely on his face. Is somebody likes him? The two women burst into laughter, New Zealand having to hold the wall for balance, India holding her stomach and leaning towards the ground. Tears pricked her eyes as she found herself unable to breathe for a few long seconds. What the hell did you just say, mate? Didn't think anyone would like you, Canada replied, turning back to face his sisters. Didn't know you were that much of a joke. Ow! Australia had punched Canada in the arm, crossing his arms right after. Australie no too bad. I probably butchered the French, but it roughly translates to Australia, do not hit your brother. Canada held a smirk on his face after hearing their mother, rubbing his arm where he was hit. India finally was able to pull herself back together, fixing her sorry once again. You two should know better. Ozzy, who's this? Did Father not write to you about it? New Zealand exclaimed. Did we write to America about his significant other? Oh, is that so? Does he speak English? He understands English pretty well. Doesn't speak it, Australia replied, grabbing the Korean's hand to provide him comfort. Make sure he does the right thing, France said to him, patting Australia's back. If he hurts you, come tell me and I'll fix him up.
내 생각엔 그 사람이 나에게 상처를 줄 것 같지 않아.
North Korea responded, smiling a bit. That roughly translates to, I don't think he'll hurt me.
나는 한국말을 해요. 걱정하지 마세요.
She reassured, still hugging him. That roughly translates to, I speak Korean, don't worry. You should have told me he was Korean, Ozzy. In his defense, Mother, I don't think any of us knew you could speak Korean, India said, turning around. But I'm hungry and it's time for supper. India led the group, although New Zealand had caught up and walked alongside her. She didn't question why her sister was wearing her uniform instead of her dress, but she desperately wanted to know the reason. They walked down the corridor in relative silence, only quiet talking from France and North Korea able to be heard in the background. The dining hall door came into view as they navigated the palace's halls. India picked up the pace. Two men standing outside the doors opened them for the six, allowing them to walk in. India made her way to her husband and her son, sitting next to Myanmar. Malaysia was to the other side of India, and she couldn't help but notice how sad she seemed. India put a hand on her shoulder, then looked over at her father. Ozzy's got good taste, doesn't he? Britain asked France, who had just sat down next to him. I do believe North Korea will make a great addition to this family. Mother, Malaysia spoke up. America's got the best lover out of anyone here, to be honest. And why is that, May? He and Sarasha are in love, India answered. The room went quiet fast, Hong Kong dropping his cup before the last noise surprisingly. He broke the silence by complaining about the water being all over him, grabbing his and Australia's napkins. The man who killed his own father to end a war and his brother to keep us out of a war? That Tsar? Yes, the Tsar of Muscovy. That son of yours, Britain, France mumbled, slouching in her chair. He doesn't tell me anything. I'm his mother. Love, I'm sure he was just scared to tell us. He had a reason to trust Malaysia and India, Britain responded, holding her hand. I think it's better if we drop this conversation for something a little better. If America marries Russia, Fiji spoke up, completely ignoring his father. Would Canada marry Serbia? Who told Fiji? See, Kiwi, I can get married now. Father, why did you let him leave the military? I have no idea, Kiwi. I have no idea. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.